Scandal with Patty Smythe here this morning opens up the doors to the Dome at about 14 minutes after 9 o'clock. And we open up on a Tuesday, as we always do, with our education program. And with me on the Zoom mobile today is the one and only Tim Meister from Four County Career Center. Tim, good to have you with me.
Thanks, James, as always. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate the positive support you've always given us. And I'm back to Zoom again. I think that's all I've done the last 8 months of my life is Zoom.
Wouldn't you have liked to have some stock in Zoom from the very first day, huh?
Yeah. They have certainly profited well from the pandemic.
Yeah, if you had about $1,000 in Zoom from day one, you wouldn't be teaching anymore. You'd be retired somewhere on a beach somewhere, saying, "Boy, I sure love that Zoom."
Yeah, amen to that. Amen.
Yeah. But you know what? It has been a godsend, and I would have to think for your business as well as every other business, this is what a wonderful invention.
Yeah, it has been. That really was a key element of a tool that we used back in March when they originally sent us home. And I think if there's a silver lining in some of these things that we've had to experience, Jim, it's the fact that we don't have to physically drive places now to bring together a collaborative group from across the state. I'm involved in 2 or 3 different groups where I'm either on an advisory board or executive committee. And I was traveling to Columbus 11 to 15 times a year for a 3-hour meeting. Well, now we have found we can hold those meetings. We can still do them in person, do them via Zoom. So that's been a real positive piece. Our kids that have been sick or quarantined, they can Zoom into their classroom now. So they don't have to actually miss the class. They can be there and talk to the teacher and get the instruction. And even on a personal level, which I'm sure you've experienced as well, our family hasn't been able to get together with my 86-year-old mom. Well, one of us can go to her house, we can get the family on Zoom, and then we can, have those conversations. Same way with my wife Karen's family and my in-laws, terrific people, and we've been able to utilize Zoom. So it has been a good thing.
Yeah. Do you go back once we get past the pandemic? Do we go back to the old ways with the meetings where everybody drives to Columbus, or are we over that now?
I don't know that we're over it, because I still think there's some value to being face-to-face and in person. What I think will happen, Jim, is I think the number of times we get together in person will lessen. I can see maybe every other month, maybe every third month you get together in person, you continue doing Zoom. And for us, an economic efficiency piece is I'm not taking a school car, not spending taxpayer money on gas, driving to school-related meetings. I can sit in my office and still get the same information. So I think it'll be a balancing act.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. How is everything at Four County as we came out of the holidays and back into the new year?
Good. We've had some changes with the COVID close contact quarantining, which has been huge for us. As you and I spoke on previous shows, if we would get a positive student in school, we literally had to go to every single classroom. We had to measure 6 feet, see if they were 15 minutes apart. It was about a 2 to 4 hour process for every positive case that we had. And it basically engulfed about 3 or 4 administrators every time we had to do it. Well, the CDC changed their guidelines, and now as long as our kids are wearing masks in the classroom, following all the safety protocols, we don't have to do the close quarantine or the close contact quarantining. Well, that's done a couple of things for us. One is eliminated a lot of time my administrators have to put into going and measuring. So now we can do things that we're hired to do. We can do evaluations and help teachers and help kids. Then the second piece that's been big, Jim, is we have so many less kids missing school because they're not being quarantined. So educationally, that has been a huge change of pace for us since we came back in the first of the year. So that's been a huge piece for us. And then, of course, I know we'll talk about this a little later, but we're also into making sure our sophomores in the area get in to see our school, of course, in a whole different manner now. We have priority applications that are due by February 1. And in a month, we'll start planning for next year as far as master scheduling and program placements and things of that nature. So this is quite a busy time for us.
Oh, I bet it is. Why the change in the CDC's policy? Why all of a sudden did it become a little more relaxed than what they had been?
So a terrific question. So obviously I deal with all 22 superintendents. Well, we're all saying the same story, and that is the kids that were being sent home on quarantine because they were deemed a close contact, those kids were not testing positive. They were staying home for 14 days with no symptoms, no nothing, and not testing positive. Then we had a couple of situations where kids were getting quarantined because they were close contact 2 and 3 times. So we had kids that missed 15 to 20 days of school completely healthy. So as we reached out to legislatures, we reached out to our health departments, that got conveyed. They did a study at the state level, and they found out that what we were saying here in Fort County was the same thing they were saying in Southeast Ohio, Southwest Ohio. Those schools that were in person, those kids were not getting sick. And so in essence, when you're keeping healthy kids home, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So they ease the guidelines, and it is terrific because it's been a benefit for everybody educationally, time-wise, monetary. I can't imagine the amount of dollars we spent on just trying to do all the contact tracing in school. Eased up on our health departments. Those poor people were trying to make 1,400 contacts. So it's been a good thing, but it was backed up by scientific study, Jim.
That is good to hear, because so often we have to fight a government or a bureaucracy that says, this is how we set it up. This is how we're doing it. We don't care about the facts. Just shut up and go back and do it, and that's good. What a great situation you've got there.
It is. And I want to give a hat or a hand to our legislators, because they've been in contact with us. They've listened to us. They've asked our opinion. They've relayed that. I want to give a big shout out to our health department. Same thing. They ask us questions. Hey, what are you guys seeing? And then in their weekly meetings with the Ohio Department of Health, they convey those same things. And then kudos to, to Governor DeWine's office, because they've reached out and they've listened and are willing to make these changes. And, Jim, you and I have talked, I'm the farthest thing from political. Don't care about parties, don't care about politics. Let's cut through the BS. I know there's been some criticism of how governors have handled this. I wouldn't want him to be in Mike DeWine's chair for the world, because no matter what he does, it's not going to be right in someone's eyes. But I can tell you, from the minute this has started until now, I have very little qualms with what he's done. He's in a tough spot. He's always tried to put the people's health and safety first, in the same way with schools, but at the same time, he's willing to listen. The fact that he supported this whole let's back off the close contact quarantine was good for kids and good for the state. So again, kudos to all those people who had to help us get to this point.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you. Now, having said that, there are going to be a number of people that won't be happy with that idea too, because the impeach DeWine signs are all over the state of Ohio right now, right?
I imagine Mike DeWine has a little bit of the same theory that I do, and that is, I'm old. I don't need more friends. I just want to make the right decision.
Exactly. Yeah, no doubt. I agree. And you know what? I've been amazed at the way that Fort County has come through this whole process, because if there is one spot that you would think would have been a hot spot and a bed of coronavirus, it would have had to been in a Fort County school like yours.
I agree, Jim. We're bringing in kids from 1,700 square miles. We have 22 different schools. A lot of our kids are athletes or participating athletes next year. Just having that type of diversity and variety walk through your door every day, plus 1,000 kids in one building. I don't want to say that I didn't have confidence in what we were doing, because I did. I just thought the circumstances would put us in a situation where we were going to have to go hybrid or remote at some point. We haven't. We've been in person 5 days a week, every single day. We haven't even come close to taking a break. We haven't had, again, as I say this, I'm knocking on wood, understand.
Sure.
We haven't had a lot of staff that have been out. If we've had, it's been one or two. But I think it goes back to a couple of things. I think it goes back to when we started this year, we put a ton of time into making sure that our safety and protocols were not only, in my mind, were quality protocols, but were well thought out and common sense ones. Like, I didn't invest a lot of money into buying crazy lights or all these different types of sanitizing machines and all that. We said, what is a practical, logical, common sense practice? That drove us. So everything in our plan was about that. Two, we put our teachers in a position to succeed, and then they took it and ran with it. Those teachers cleaned their classroom between every single class. And some of them even put it in the hands of their kids, like our lab directors, our lab instructors. They had their kids clean the equipment and the tools and everything after they used them. All of our people wore masks. They didn't fight us. They say, well, I don't want to do that. Everybody did it. Everybody bought into, hey, we can do this. So everybody's complaining about why they can't do it. We're going to be too busy doing it to listen to them. And Jim, I can't say enough about our maintenance crew, our cleaning crew, our staff, our teachers. This has been a collaborative effort. And that's a buzzword I hate. I hate that word collaborative. I'm going to use it here because it truly has been. Without everybody on board, this doesn't happen. And again, good Lord willing, we're going to make it through the year and be 5 days in person the entire school year, which to me is an incredible feat. And if we do that, I'm going to tell you, I've been a part of a lot of cool things in education. Athletically, I've been blessed to have coached some really good teams. I've had some kids make the major leagues. I've always been really proud of that. As a principal, we had excellence with distinguished. 5 or 6 straight years at Archibald. At Fort County, obviously, we've done some really cool things. I'm not so sure I'm not going to be as proud of this accomplishment if we stay in school the whole year, 5 days in person, anything I've done in 32 years of education. I'm just really proud of our people.
Well, yeah, no, well, I think everybody should be really proud of you and your people as well, because I can't imagine that the quality of education would not have been diminished a bit if the folks at Fort County, the students at Fort County, had to go remote. It just doesn't. I don't see that in my mind.
Yeah, they really struggled with that last spring, especially our labs where, you and I have spoken before, our COS lab, our auto tech lab, our welding lab. Those kids have to get their hands dirty. They have to put their hands on their things. There's only so much you can do remote. It's kind of funny because they said before the pandemic, sometimes we had to fight kids to want to come to school. Now, during the pandemic, we have to fight kids to send them home. They don't want to go home. They're tired of home. They want to, especially our kids, they want to be in their lab. So yeah, it was really vitally important for us to be in person for our education for our county to be successful.
Tim Meister is my guest right now. 25 after 9 o'clock. I need to pay some bills. We're going to get into what's going on at Fort County and where do they head to the remainder of this education year. Tim Meister is on the Zoom mobile. You've got the Q 96.5 FM. It's Tuesday morning. ELO on the Q 96.5 FM. And the guy on my Zoom mobile today, Mr. Timothy Meister, has that strange magic about him. He's always had it. It helped him a lot back in the sideline. You had a lot of magic when you were coaching. I remember Coach Meister back then would come up with some strange magic every now and then on Friday nights. I heard that in the stands all the time.
I don't think magic was the verb they were using.
Oh, goodness. You know what, Tim, it's always great to see you. Did you have a good holiday and everything? Did everybody in the Meister family have a good holiday season?
We did. You know what? We all stayed healthy. Weird because we did not get together. This is the first time in my 53 years that I was not with my mom on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Family wasn't together, but at the end of the day, we all understood the circumstances. So we're all healthy. Everybody's good. So yeah, we're pretty blessed.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, you were talking that now you're really into some of the most busy days of the entire school year at Fort County Career Center.
Yeah, all geared towards next year. So typically that first week of December, we have all the 22 schools out for Southmore Visitation Day. Well, obviously we could not do that. So our career tech director, Rick Bachman, and our PR person, Janet Kinnear, who you're very familiar with, Jim, they put together a tremendous virtual tour for our Southmores. In fact, if you go to our website right now, you can take a virtual open house of Fort County. So our homeschools were very gracious. They allowed us some time for their kids to look at that virtual tour, to go through it. We're doing the same thing for 8th graders. Then our priority application deadline is February 1. So right now we're in the process of accepting applications for kids that are juniors who want to come to Fort County next year. Our numbers are a tad down compared to previous years, but I think we're about at 430 right now. So we're probably about 100 away from what would be maybe an average year. But a lot of it because some of our schools haven't finished first semester yet. They were just back in person for the first time face-to-face last week. So I'm hopeful we will. Once we do that priority application deadline, then we'll start placing kids for next year, creating the master schedule. So the next 2 or 3 months are imperative to next year's success. We're still trying to keep this year's year going.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, that's always, nobody thinks about that because a normal school for this age group, all right, you go to school. That's it. I mean, where's Johnny going to school this year? Right? He's going to Bryan High School because he's 14 years old and he's going to Bryan High School. Okay. But when you start to look at a career center like yours, you honestly, I won't say recruit. All right. But you do have to go out and entice people to think about coming to your location and somewhat of an alternative education style.
Oh, no, we say recruit.
Oh, okay. You use recruit. Okay. All right. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it is. I understand your point, Jim. It's very well made. We do have a very fine line because you're right. We don't have a built-in population. We're a school of choice. So our kids decide to come to us or not based on their choosing. So we have to make sure that we do aggressively recruit, but we don't do so in a way like colleges do where we say, okay, your homeschool is a bad option for you. What we try to do is tell kids, look, you have a choice when you're junior or senior. The way the ODE has their curriculum set up, if you stay at, let's use Brian, since that's a homeschool example people can understand. Brian's curriculum is probably very much geared towards those kids who are on a college path. Those kids are going to go to a 2 or 4 year college, and that's what they want to do in their chosen profession in their mind right now. That's the path they go to. So that's the curriculum that the state supports Brian to present. For us, we're more of the workforce development. A kid wants to go into employment right away or go to a tech school or a 1-year trade school. So what we try to do is try to present the kid with options that, hey, you get to pick what's best for you. And in some cases, we'll sell kids, hey, it's probably the best thing for you is to stay at your home school because that's the path that's the best fits for you. Or we'll tell kids, hey, we think what we can offer here is something that homeschool can't. And again, Jim, we've talked about this 100 times. Just tremendous cooperation from our 22 area schools that we serve. The guidance counselors, the principals, the superintendents, they have the best interest of the kid in mind. So they really do help us with that whole recruiting process.
Yeah, and that's always a double-edged sword, I would think, for any school administrator, because once you allow that student to leave your building, you have to start sharing the wealth at that moment. The money gets shared a little bit, huh?
Yeah, and that's probably the thing people are most uncomfortable talking about. I'm not, because here's the deal: the money follows the kid. So a student at Bryan who chooses to go to Fort County, Bryan only receives 20% of the funding that they would normally receive. The rest of it comes to us to educate the student. So in other areas of the state, I hear a lot of career tech superintendents say that homeschools basically tell their counselors and their principals, do not encourage our students to go to the career tech because that's money walking out of our door. We're fortunate, probably because we're rural, probably because of the area, mostly because we have really good superintendents and counselors and principals, Jim. They tell the kids, let's do what's best for you. And we'll figure out the finances later. But that is something that I get. If I'm a homeschool superintendent, and my school's facing some real financial difficulties, I may have John Q. Public say, well, you have 60 kids going to Fort County. Why don't you not let them go to Fort County? Well, that may be good if you're a business guy and it looks good on paper, but the reality is we're in the business to do what's best for kids. And if we don't do what's best for kids, and we don't have kids coming to Fort County, now you don't have a workforce for the Fort County area. And now your businesses dry up. They've moved to bigger urban areas. I mean, everything is hand in hand, and there's a benefit to getting kids out here if it's the right fit for them.
No doubt about that. And I'll tell you what, the workforce around Northwest Ohio needs people like you're producing at this point in time desperately.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing the number of calls we get that a lot of our kids can't even finish their senior year in lab because they're out of workplace or early job experience. I mean, there's some of our kids, Jim, they have not set foot in our school except for academics this year because they take their required academics and they're off to their job site, working the regular job with the skill set they learned as juniors. So that's it's nice because I know we provide a valuable asset to the Fort County area.
Yeah, no doubt about that. What are some of those trades that are so much in demand right now?
Welding, all the construction trades, carpentry, electrical. I would say those are the three biggest ones, that we have, but all of them, our ag diesel, our diesel mechanics, those people get placed all the time. Our power sports people, they get placed. Really, just to think about where you see help wanted signs, and that's probably where you see most of ours. And even our kids in our smart lab that do a lot of machining, CNC, robotics, they're in high demand too. So we have a lot of programs that do help out our area by going early job placement.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's you guys do such a wonderful job over there, and for such a long time when you and I were growing up, it was everybody's got to go to college, everybody has to go to college, everybody has to go to college. And doggone it, there's an awful lot of people working a 40-hour work week around our area right now that are out earning college degree folks like you and me potentially every day of the week by just showing up every morning at 7 o'clock at a very good location.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the ills of a 4-year college education, some of the programs they offer, that may be a whole nother Zoom meeting we have to have, Jim. Because it is, and that's to me that's a really disturbing trend that I've watched over my course of education is that basically the stats are showing that kids that enter a 4-year college, only 30% of them will ever graduate in 4 years or 5 years. And of that 30%, it's another number, and I'm not going to quote the number because I don't want to misspeak. but it's amazing how many of them never work in the field that they went to college for. So, yeah. I mean, to me, that's a whole nother educational pathway that needs to take a good, long, hard look at. You know, you have kids coming out with a 4-year degree, and their degree can do nothing for them. They don't have a skill set. They don't have a training. They have no job opportunity. That's a big issue, especially when college debt is one of the biggest driving forces of our economy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, it wasn't bad back in the day when we could go to school and spend $2,500 a year and end up $10,000 in debt over 4 years if you didn't have the cash on hand. But nowadays, when you're talking $25,000 and higher per year, and it's $100,000 in debt or higher when you come out of the other end, that's a house, man. That's a house.
My last year at college was 88, 89. I went to Defiance College, and that was still at that time a small private school. And my last year's tuition was $8,200. That was everything. That was the whole year. And I remember my dad saying, I hope you're going to be able to pay that off because you could have went to a Bowling Green or someplace a lot less expensive than that. And think back and go, who wouldn't pay $8,200 for a college education right now at a 4-year private school?
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's all in perspective, isn't it? Huh?
It is all perspective.
I have grandsons and granddaughters right now that are that 15 years of age, 14 years of age, and starting to look ahead towards this. And you know, I sit and talk to them oftentimes and say, "What do you really want to do? You know, what really do you want to do every day once you get to be an adult?" And if that demands them to go to college somewhere, that's great. But if that doesn't, then, you know, now's the time to make up your mind and start thinking about that.
And I think, Jim, that's where public education has really started to evolve. And that is, we're having kids at their 7th and 8th grade year really start to seriously look at what do you want to do the rest of your life. And I know it's an early age, but at least get them thinking about it, you know, because the more they think about it, the more they explore it, the more they learn about it. And you know, maybe a kid wants to become a lawyer when he realizes what a lawyer does. Maybe that's not what he or she thought, but maybe this was a pathway they thought that they never considered before. I think sometimes, you know, we just don't say anything to kids. And like you said, we push college. All of a sudden, the kid's a junior, senior, going, well, I guess I'm going to college. Don't know what I want to do. And then $80,000 later, he figures out that's not what I want to do. So I think we're doing a better job in public education, getting kids to at least think long-term about careers and the pathway they need to take to get to that career. We're doing a better job than we used to. Still have a long ways to go, though.
I think we are too. It's 15 before 10 o'clock. I need to pay some bills, and then we'll be back to finish things up with Tim Meister from the 4 County Career Center. It's Tuesday. We're talking schools on the Q. We're picking up the pieces, man. And the guy that can help you pick up the pieces and put them all back into place, if you're a high school student right now, is on the Zoom mobile with me right now, Tim Meister from 4 County Career Center. And Tim, the last 10 minutes so we got to chat here today. We always turn the conversation a little bit to things that are not school related. What did you think about the Buckeyes and Alabama?
I'm a huge Ohio State fan, like many of us. I was proud they got there. I mean, what a tough season. You don't have a lot of games. You're trying to get some type of fluidity. As a coach, the only way your kids get better is reps and games. You know, and for us only playing 7 regular season and to perform like we did against Clemson, I thought they were terrific. And Jim, I've told a lot of people this. Alabama might be one of the best college football teams I have seen. And I don't care if we're 100% healthy or not. If we play Alabama 10 times, we lose 11. They're tremendous. They were really good. So I'm really proud of what Ohio State did. And just sometimes you got to say the other team was better. Alabama's better than us.
Yeah, and they were better than everybody. You know, it's pretty much nobody really hung with them at all this year, really.
Well, here's an interesting stat. I read this. So everybody complained about our defense, and I wasn't thrilled with some of the things we did either. But the final score of that game was, 49-24, whatever it was. Alabama averaged 48.5 points on the season. It wasn't like we gave up a whole lot more points to them than they were scoring on everybody else. So They were just very good.
Yeah, no, they were very good. What do you think about the basketball idea now with the with the tournament being basically all out of Indianapolis, with everybody being, quarantined into their own little location, playing all in around the city of Indy? We going to be able to pull this off?
Well, they'll pull it off because it means too much money to the NCAA to not pull it off. If you read what the NCAA lost on not having the tournament last year, they can't sustain their organizational finances if they don't have the NCAA tournament this year. So they'll pull it off. I think it's an interesting concept. It seems to me like they tried to steal a little bit from the NBA, what they did going with the bubble, trying to regionalize that. So I don't know. It will be very interesting. And then the other question is, when you get into March Madness, how much has the vaccine been distributed?
Yeah.
If those kids have been vaccinated, and maybe, then it goes off without a hitch. But like everything else, like this, kind of interested to see how this all pans out and what different adjustments they make as we get closer to that date.
Yeah. So many people are worried about putting an asterisk next to this season on all different levels. And I never have had a problem with an asterisk next to a season. That's just part of the history. That is our history.
It is. And, those asterisks tend to be forgotten. The last time Major League Baseball went on strike, who won the World Series?
I don't know.
No, and that's my point. They said there's going to be an asterisk. There's not. They're just the World Series champions, So we've had a lot of stoppages due to different reasons. This has just been unique. But, maybe there ought to be a good aspect, that you were able to navigate a really difficult situation with college-age kids and were able to stay healthy and compete and complete the season. So that asterisk shouldn't always be a negative connotation.
Yeah, I agree. There are times when those become positives, and what a season! What a season for my Brownies this year, man. What do you think about those guys, huh?
Tell you what, they performed awful well, didn't they? I mean,
they did.
That first half fumble turned out to be pretty big in the end, but yeah, they really competed. I think they got the direction on the right way. Pretty good first-year coaching job by Kevin Stefanski, huh?
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what. I when they picked him, I sat there and thought, all the numbers say he's the guy, all right. But when you listen to him do his business every day, you understand he was the right choice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I go back to the previous two coaches we had when Greg Williams filled in, and then you had Freddie Kitchens. I just always thought those guys they didn't seem very professional or to have command of the team. And I think Kevin Stefanski has been ultimately professional. Like, he's the adult in the room. He's the leader. People are going to follow him. The players seem to respect him. He seems to not take any grief from anybody. So I just think they got the right guy in place as a head coach. They got the right guy in place as GM. You got an owner willing to spend money. That's a pretty good combination.
Yeah, I think there are better things coming for Brownies fans this year. Hopefully the Lions will get some direction the same way,
Yeah, maybe they give the Lions and the Indians a little bit of advice on directional here.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, in the last couple of minutes we have left right now, I think we need to go back to the school issue right now. If there are some students out there that are thinking about Fort County Career Center right now are critical days and weeks to make up your mind and maybe get a little more information. How do they do that?
Absolutely, Jim. Go to our website, fortcounty.net, and up top they're going to see a couple of links they can go to. One is a virtual tour, one is a virtual open house. If you don't have to be a sophomore, but specifically if you're a sophomore and you're really considering Fort County, or you're not sure exactly what you want to do, you may have an interest, click on that, go through the tour, go through the open house. Then you're going to see access to all 30 of our programs. You can see a video of what each program does. And then on every page, there's an apply now button. And just because you apply, it doesn't tie you into coming out. But if you don't apply by February 1, then you're going to miss our priority deadline and not get priority placement. So it's pretty simple to go to. We tried to make it very concise, clear, but effective, Jim. So yeah, I can't encourage kids enough, and parents, to go to our website, take a look at what we put together. It'll be time well vested if you do it.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Time well vested always at Fort County Career Center, no matter what you're up to, no matter what you're doing. We're a big fan, always will be. You guys do wonderful work over there. Keep it up. We're off and rolling for 2021, Tim. How's that?
I like it. Let's keep it going.
Let's get rid of 2020. Let's put that in the rearview mirror and hope for better things, huh?
All right. Hey, Jim, thanks again. We always appreciate the support from the Q.